All right. There we go.
All right.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. This is GLP-1s and coaching, why you matter more than ever. So how fitness professionals are more essential than ever in the age of weight loss medications. So this is me, Timp, if you've never met me in person before. I know quite a few of you have, but some of you have not. So it's fun to actually see some of the students that, just communicating with, but not actually getting to meet. So this is a fun way to do that. So thank you all for taking a little time out of your day and being here tonight. So I want to start with just a little quiz for you. So if we could go in your chat box and just answer either yes, no, or not sure. Have you heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, or other GLP-1 medications? Let's just kind of see where we're at. All right, all yeses. All yeses, all good. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but hey, Jonathan, I didn't see you come in. I don't know about you, but when I first heard about these, being in the fitness industry, so you guys are either in the fitness industry or you are future fitness professionals. So my first thought was, oh, this is just going to be like those drugs from the past, right? So it's like be like fen-phen. It's going to be like, oh, unfortunately, maybe some people are going to get hurt and it's going to be out of here, or maybe it's just not going to work at all. So I didn't really think too much of it. But then you're realizing, wow, this is actually working for a lot of people and it doesn't seem to be going away, right? And so so you kind of have to switch your mindset. And at that time, I was switching over in my personal coaching to being a weight loss coach. And it's like, oh boy, this is kind of a tough season is what I was thinking. And so I really had to kind of shift gears. So saying all that, I just want to share this with you, a little quick note before we start. So I'm going to start by saying I am not a doctor and I'm not an expert on GLP-1s. Okay. I'm a coach just like you. I've been learning and navigating this new environment alongside my clients. So some of my clients are using GLP-1 medications, and I realized that I needed to understand them better to support them, right? And so today I'm sharing what I've learned so far, but I do encourage you to keep exploring, stay curious, and do your own research too, because we're all learning together. Okay, just a quick welcome and to go through what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to be talking about what GLP-1 meds are and why they're trending, what these meds can't do, and where clients get stuck, which is really important for us to know. Why coaching still matters more than ever, which is really the crux of this whole webinar today. And then real client scenarios. What would you do? And we're going to go through a few of those. And then where do you fit in this new coaching landscape? So this session is going to be interactive, so get ready to think, chat, and hopefully you'll walk away with some new insights you can use. I do want to just explain the format. It's going to be a 45-ish minute, hopefully, webinar, and it's going to be followed by 15-minute Q&A. And so during the webinar itself, if we could stick to the chat box and, just communicating that way, and I will try to stay on top of that and see what's going on. I'm going to ask you some questions. So it is going to be interactive in that respect. But if you do have any questions, just jot them down, questions or comments, and we can go through all of those when we get to the Q&A at the end. Okay? All right. So what is GLP-1? GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, a hormone your body naturally produces. So some people think that GLP-1s are something that's been made up, right? Like just a synthetic medication, but it's not. I mean, they have made a synthetic medication, but it's based on a hormone that our body naturally produces. And it helps regulate blood sugar, slows digestion, and suppresses appetite. So we can actually naturally boost our GLP-1. So GLP-1 is made in our gut when we eat and move. And modern diets and sedentary lifestyles can blunt that process, right? And so think about the way most Americans are eating. Definitely sedentary lifestyle and a lot of ultra processed foods, right? And so things that we can do to build more GLP-1 is eat more fiber, especially foods like vegetables, whole grains, things like that. Adding healthy fats, which would be like avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds. Prioritizing protein, but when I say that, I mean like whole food proteins, right? Not like, we're not talking protein bars here, things like that. So the whole food sources, eggs, lean meats, etc. Eating mindfully, what that does is it actually slows down and improves your gut-brain signaling. And so remembering to chew slowly, just simple things like that are really helpful, and it helps release satiety hormones. And just real quick, so protein also, just getting back to that, one thing I forgot to mention is that it actually it stimulates and regulates your blood sugar and helps curb appetite, which we know that lean protein actually does. It is very high in satiety, right? Like we're satisfied much longer when we have a lot of protein. So it's very important. And then movement, there's been a lot of studies on movement, and especially after eating. And so there's a lot of studies that show that light exercise after a meal increases your GLP-1 level. And that's super important. It also does reduce your blood sugar level. So that's something that we always want as well. Okay, so how medications mimic the GLP-1s, they do it by signaling fullness to the brain, okay? So they reduce cravings and appetite. They act as a natural GLP-1, which then slows the digestion, signals satiety, and supports insulin release, right? And so it's all things that our body is doing on its own, but for a lot of people, especially when people are overweight or have diabetes, their GLP-1 is blunted, right? And so they're not getting the same response. But it was originally created for type 2 diabetes, but now it's widely used for weight loss. Okay, so why is everyone suddenly talking about these medications? It's actually been around. GLP-1s, meds have been around for the last couple decades, but we really haven't heard too much about it, right? And then it started, being used for type 2 diabetes and then eventually weight loss. And so what's happening is it's starting to trend, or it's not starting to, it has been trending on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, right? And it's everywhere, honestly. Clinics, you just look around everywhere. Anytime you turn on the TV, if you're getting commercials, you're seeing commercials about it. It's on social media everywhere. And it does provide rapid weight loss, which is what a lot of people are looking for, right? And insurance may cover for weight loss now. For a while, it was only covering for type 2 diabetes. And so, but it does have stipulations. And even if you do have insurance, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to cover for weight loss. So don't go with just what I say. Make sure that you talk to your insurance provider, or your clients do as well. But most of the time, it will cover if your BMI is greater than 30, or if it's greater than 27 with certain conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, things like that. And then the thing that is really important to a lot of people is appetite is being suppressed, right? No willpower needed. We haven't heard that before. And that's always been something that, we've had to work with our clients. So these meds, they don't just affect appetite. They actually change the way that people the way they think, feel, and behave around food. Okay, a fun fact. Now, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole on this because there's so many different names out there, but this is something that I didn't realize until I started doing some research. So did you know that Wegovy and Ozempic are actually the same medication? They're semaglutide, right? And Zepbound and Mounjaro are also the same medication. They're trizepatide. Okay, and so the only difference though is that Wegovy and Zepbound are prescribed for weight loss, and Ozempic and Mounjaro are prescribed for type 2 diabetes. So the name change is based on the prescription, which often confuses clients and us as well. And then we also have doctors prescribing Ozempic, which is for type 2 diabetes. We have them prescribing it for weight loss, kind of off market or off brand, right? They can, because they can do that. It's up to them what they want to do. So it does get very confusing. Okay, before we dive in, if you get ready and do a little typing in your chat box, what do you think are some benefits of GLP-1s? So type in the chat. Okay, awesome. So controlling people's cravings and overeating, exactly. Controlling diabetes, Sonia says. Slow digestion, yep. Appetite suppression, exactly. Their appetite suppression, that's a big one, right? That's what most people are really interested in. Okay, so let's take a look. So this is something that I actually wasn't really that aware of until I started talking to my clients, until I started listening to podcasts about it, until I just started, really being open to listening a little bit more about it, right? I was a little bit closed off. I don't know about you guys, but I was a little bit closed off to wanting to hear really anything about the benefits for a while. But there really is, a hidden shift in how can the GLP-1s actually how can they spark a lifestyle change? So early weight loss, meaning like losing weight at the beginning, builds confidence, and it actually makes moving easier. So for some people who have really, really struggled with, say, like getting in the gym or even like starting a walking program because they're just so uncomfortable walking, that them losing some weight to start with really builds that confidence, and it gets them going, right? And so then they start feeling better, they start looking better, builds up their confidence, and then they start doing things like eating healthier, right? And it can open the door to lasting habits, but that really does take some help from us with, some good coaching. A really, really big bonus for GLP-1 is that it quiets food noise. If you're someone who has ever experienced food noise, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you're thinking about food all the time, right? You're thinking about it when you wake up in the morning, thinking about when am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? You think about it just continuously throughout the day. It's just always, always, always on your mind. So that food noise is just always there. And this drug does quiet that. And I do have some studies here as well. So if you are interested, you can write down the PubMed numbers and check them out. But food noise is really one of the big things that a lot of people are finding relief from. Okay, little reality check. GLP-1s may offer long-term health benefits as well. Again, something, wasn't really open to it at the beginning. So weight loss is only part of the picture. Some benefits, they take a while to go deeper. You can imagine though, when people are losing weight, that they will have improved cardiovascular outcomes, right? Better blood sugar control, which, this is a diabetes medication. And so that definitely makes sense. Reduced inflammation and blood pressure, and then ongoing weight loss and maintenance. All right, so time to hear your thoughts again. What do you think are some of the downsides or concerns with using GLP-1s? Exactly, Danny, muscle loss. And I liked your comment from before too about the kind of the pro mental shift with weight loss. That's definitely a big one. All right, loss of muscle mass if they aren't resistance training. Exactly. Oh, Jonathan, absolutely. Dollar signs. Gut issues, definitely. Dependency withdrawals, yes. Some people only want to depend on the drug. Exactly. Libido issues. Yep. You guys are good. You guys know a lot. You're going deep. This is good. Very good. Okay. So you'll see I haven't even covered everything here, but accessibility. So these are just some of them. Keep coming if you have some more. Yes, cost for sure. So here's some of the trade-offs. Definitely not a free pass, right? There's serious long-term commitment, big commitment. It's considered a lifetime drug, right? It is considered a lifetime drug. And you're absolutely right, Sherry. For most of the people, they're going to gain back the weight if they don't learn the lifestyle habits that we can teach them, right? And so for most of them, it becomes a lifetime drug and it has a high cost. Now, you might have different numbers than these, but this is just what I found with my research. And from what I'm heard. And so between like $900 and $1,400 a month without insurance, and it's somewhere around $500 even with insurance. And again, sometimes insurance won't even cover it, even if you do qualify for it based on your BMI. So lifestyle habits still matter, meaning we have it. Okay, interesting. $75 a week for knockoffs. And I was going to say, actually, I have heard like you can go out of country and get them, but that is interesting. The other thing though, too, is that you're not really getting it prescribed specifically to you when you're just doing that, right? So that's the other part of it too, is that you're just getting generically prescribed to things. And so it's kind of like, here you go, good luck, right? Which is tough, but I'm sure you can find some deals if you're out there looking for it. Okay. Jonathan. Okay, so they can cause ongoing side effects. These are like the things that we hear about often, right? These meds don't just curb hunger, they can actually hit the body really hard, and it happens really fast to most people. Nausea, vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, right? Abdominal pain, bloating, fatigue. The no appetite leads to low protein, low calorie, more muscle loss, right? And then some report mood changes or emotional flatness. No, thank you. It doesn't sound very fun. Don't sign me up for that. Okay. So rapid weight loss can show up in the face. Who's heard of Ozempic face? Right? You've heard of Ozempic face now. I mean, sadly, these things happen as you age also. So let's not hurry it along. Let's not hurry it along. So that is facial fat loss, right? And it comes from the rapid weight loss, not from the medication itself. Right. So it's not the GLP-1 that's causing them to get Ozempic face. It's the fact that they're losing weight so rapidly. And so then some people will turn to fillers and skin treatments to take care of that. That's what this source is referring to that I have here. Okay, these are some long-term risks that are pretty serious. And so some concerns take time to emerge and they may be underreported, and we don't have a lot of studies on everything. Pancreatitis, FDA reports show up to 6 times higher rates than average. Pancreatic and thyroid cancer observed more often when people are on these drugs. Unclear long-term impact, more studies definitely needed. And this is important. It's rare, but it's real. And so reinforcing the need for coaching, monitoring, and lifestyle support. Okay, so what we don't see in the studies, so not all the side effects are physical, not all of them show up in the research. So disconnection from hunger cues, I find that one to be really interesting, and it's something that I found with my clients if they're using GLP-1, because that's gone, right? You don't have that awareness anymore to think about like, what are those cues? What are the reasons why you are, emotionally eating, right? It's not there any longer. So you can't really look at those things anymore, and you disconnect from that. There's like that emotional flatness, that low motivation we talked about. Less interest in food actually equals less interest in life, right? And another thing these drugs do, I don't have it in here, but it does help people with addictions and things too, which is actually a good thing, but it really kind of blunts your, receptors for everything then. And so, it really does cause that like emotional flatness. Relying on the meds, I think somebody mentioned this before, which is just delaying behavior change, right? Because you're never really taking care of that behavior change. And so you skip that habit building part that is so important for those habits that actually last, which is why it's so important, right? Okay, again, your turn. Do you think coaching matters more than ever? What are some reasons you believe coaching is essential in the age of GLP-1s? Type your thoughts in the chat, and then we'll talk about some of these answers together. Give me some reasons. What are your reasons? Why do you believe coaching is essential? All right, key people strength training to minimize muscle loss. Absolutely. Behavior modification. For sure, Sierra. Because they're not getting it from their drugs, right? They're not getting behavior modification. Reinforce new habits for long-term change. Exactly. Teaching behavior change for lifestyle changes. Exactly. Okay, good. Thank you, Danny. Appropriate macros to prevent as much muscle loss, right? Because people tend to think I'm eating less, that's good, right? But they're not getting the calories, they're not getting the nutrition that they need. Teaching people how to stay healthy without the drugs. Absolutely. 100%. Okay, so I found this article. It said up to 40% of weight loss on GLP-1s is lean mass, which is pretty crazy because typical weight loss is about 25%, I think. It's somewhere around that is loss of lean mass. So up to 40% is a lot, right? But it's not inevitable. It's not inevitable. So protein and strength training, like you guys are talking about, is going to help protect it. And that's where coaching changes everything. And that's why we're here. Okay. But we also know that coaching goes beyond physical, right? We need to work on the mindset. We need to work on nutrition, right? Fueling the body for health, not just cutting calories, because they're going to cut calories naturally being on these drugs, right? And so we need to help them make good choices of the food that they are eating. Emotional resilience, so navigating stress, setbacks, and identity shifts, because a lot of people, they might think that they're going to be happy when they lose weight, right? But that's not what the problem has been. So they still have all of whatever those issues were coming along with them. And so if they have poor identity, which honestly, a majority of people do, right? They don't have high self-image, they don't have high self-love, right? And so that identity shift, now they're like a thin person, but they're still the same person on the inside. They still have those same thoughts about themselves on the inside. And then the habits, right? This is so important, like we've talked about, building those daily habits that actually stick. And so only if somebody wants to come off these drugs, the only way that's going to work for them is if they do these things, right? And so that's why coaching fills the gap that GLP-1s can't reach. And we need to remember that. All right, so here is a scenario for you guys. This is your client. Her name is Sally. She's saying, I'm on Wegovy and I'm never hungry. So what would you focus on as a coach? Drop your thoughts in the chat. Just gave you a few things to think about: muscle loss, protein, movement, mindset, long-term goals. But what would you say to her? Well, how would you work with Sally if she were your client and she said, I'm never hungry? We just give some steps, some things that you would do with her. While you get going, I'm going to grab my phone because I don't have the time on my computer right now. Yeah, that's really good, Danny. Okay, let's see. Whoops. Small feedings through the day, right? And liquid calories. Okay, very good. That's really, really helpful because they're not hungry, right? And so we need to give them little bits or they're not gonna be able to take it in. Yep, okay, and Chris, great, just adding on to that, small meals, focusing on protein, right? focusing on that protein. Okay, share with them, talking to them about, I feel like my chat box needs to get bigger, small. Okay, talking about how maintaining muscle needs fuel, the purpose still needing calories. Okay, so we still have that, we have that role of education, right, Sherry? We have to explain to them so they understand why it's not just about calories, but that they need more calories, right? They need the calories because they need more fuel. They need the nutrition, because that's what a lot of them are missing, is they're missing the nutrients when they're cutting back on their calories like that. Good point, Jonathan. Reminders throughout the day, meal prepping ahead to be ready. All right, Caden, start early and don't stress about how large meals are. That's good. Yeah, not stressing about it is really a big point. We haven't even talked about stress, but that's super important as well. Okay, really good. Okay, I have another scenario for you. Okay, so this is John. This is your client, John. And he says, I hit my weight goal, but I still don't feel like myself. So your client, he's still on GLP-1s. He's reached his goal, but he feels disconnected and unfulfilled, right? Because this is just exactly what we were talking about. He reached his goal, but it didn't make him happy. And he's not where he feels like he wants to be. He's feeling disconnected. He's feeling unfulfilled. His energy is probably low because his calories probably haven't been where they need to be. His nutrition hasn't been where it needs to be. And what would you focus on as a coach for him specifically? Okay, reverse diet him. So do you want to be a little more specific about that for people that don't understand what reverse dieting is, Danny? But that's a great approach. I love that.
Yeah, so basically reverse dieting, you keep his protein the same and you could manipulate or increase fat or carb. So just slowly, for example, you could slowly boost his carbohydrate over time. It could be, 100 calories every week or two,
Mm.
25 grams ish. And that could help with energy levels right there, just doing that with the carbohydrate.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good idea. Because it's nice and slow too, right? So he's not going to feel like he's getting stuffed. It's going to be just nice and slow. Okay. He may need some counseling, definitely, Chesney. He may need some, he may have some body image issues. Sounds like it, right? Definitely sounds like he's got some like self-identity issues, or body issues. And so getting some counseling would be really helpful. Oh, Sherry, I love that one. Focus on a performance goal, right? Kind of taking him out. It's like taking him out of that thought of just thinking about, exercise for weight loss, right? And thinking about it being for performance, right? That's a super fun idea. I love that. Okay, Chris, it's hard to say. Some people use food as a coping mechanism, and when that's gone, they may feel lost without something to replace it. That is so spot on, Chris, right? Because for so many people, food, right? The emotion part, food is their friend, or they think it's their friend, right? And without that part, they're totally missing that, which could be why he is feeling the way he is right now. So what would you do for that, Chris?
Maybe help them find an active hobby or
An
just
act.
something more constructive.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you guys are thinking. Like Sherry said, like like choosing like some kind of a performance to do, but you're also saying like a hobby, like doing something outside of what like they typically think of being weight loss oriented, right? That's really great. You guys are thinking outside the box. I love that. Um, Maybe ask him what goals would make him excited and have to do with weight. Okay, Chesney, good one. Yeah, perhaps talk to him about why he started the journey, right? Bring him back to his why in the first place, because that's the whole thing. People think they're doing it because they want to lose weight, but when they get there, it's like, that really wasn't it, right? That really wasn't all that it was. And so helping them to see like really what it is. Oh, that don't. Yeah, that don't go with weight, right? Caden, yeah, exactly. Like choosing something that has nothing to do with weight or losing weight. Who said non-scale victories? Yeah, exactly, Sherry. Non-scale victories, 100%. Okay, Chris, non-caloric foods and drinks could help too. Tea is rich in L-theanine, which is a natural mood booster. Absolutely. There's so many things, right? Adaptogens, so many things that could be helpful to him as well. Yep, exactly, Sonia. Something that doesn't have to do with a number on the scale. Awesome. You guys should all be coaches. These were great. Really, really, really good. Right? Because that's what we need to think outside the box, right? Again, people are going to come to us and they're going to say they want to lose weight. And whether they're using GLP-1s or they're not, and we're still going to be coaching them, but there's so much more to it than just losing weight. And when they get to the end, when they get to their goal, oftentimes they realize that's not really what they wanted in the first place, right? So it's you guys have such great ideas. I love it. Okay, so it's just a little real client experiences that it's not one size fits all. These are actually my clients. I changed their names just a tiny bit because I didn't ask permission to share their testimonials in this webinar. But these are definitely two of my clients. So Trina, she tried a GLP-1, but she just didn't feel well and she saw no benefit. This is what she said. I just didn't feel right on it. It wasn't helping. And I knew I needed something different, right? It just didn't work for her at all. So she stopped using it and she had to make progress with just targeted coaching, which is, we love that. But it's just interesting. It really just did not work for her. And then Amanda, she's actually thriving with coaching and GLP-1 because she said that it helped quiet the food noise. And like I said, that's probably one of the biggest things that I hear from people. The biggest benefit to them is quieting that food noise. And so that she could actually finally focus. And now she's hitting her protein. Now she's lifting consistently and she's actually feeling in control. So it made a big difference for her. Right. And so it's like just giving her that support that she needs instead of saying, why are you doing that? I'd rather you not be taking that. Right. I'm kind of needing to come from the standpoint of supporting her because this is really actually helping her and building her habits. Right. And so, but we can see that not all clients are going to have the same responses. Wait, what else did you guys say up here? Okay, Jonathan, I like this too. I like to ask what would make you feel better? Sometimes clients already have half the answer. 100%. 100% is sometimes even more than half the answer, right? A lot of times they already know the answer. They're just, they're not trusting themselves. I love that. That's really good. Thank you. Sorry for my little dot. I feel like I'm moving things around. I shouldn't have a dot because I'm moving it all around my screen. Okay. So, oh, I went backwards. See, I was on the wrong side of the screen. I went all the way back. I'm so sorry. Hold on. I'm not used to this little clicker. Give me a second. Give me a second. I mean, the clicker is cool, but all right. Okay, so looks like we're probably finishing up a little bit early, but we can definitely talk some more about it. So final thoughts, coaches create what meds can't, right? So we're not going to lose our jobs because of these meds, absolutely. So GLP-1s may change appetite, but coaches like you change lives. You help people do what medications could never do, protecting muscle, shifting mindset and self-worth, reconnecting with their body, and building habits that last. Super important. All right. Your role is irreplaceable now more than ever. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's open up for questions, comments. I feel like you guys have some great things to talk about. So why don't we just go ahead? You can open your mics if you want. And if you want to ask, share. We have lots of coaches in the room. So I don't know what you guys have thoughts on this topic. You want to go deeper on anything?
I mean, I literally heard a story today. A girl had knee surgery and she came back to the gym, and her sister told her to use the shot because that's what she's doing.
Ah,
So the sister's living on one hot pocket a day because she said she's not ready to go to the gym or eat right.
yeah.
So that's what she's living on.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do hear that, right? And so, because people can choose to just sit on the couch, they're going to lose weight, but what they're not realizing is all the things we were talking about. They're not realizing what's happening to their bodies. They're losing their muscle, right?
Mhm.
They're they're just becoming sick and they don't even realize it, right? Because all these things are happening to their body from what they're choosing to do. They're malnourished, and that's the
Mhm.
scary thing, right? We're getting a lot of malnourished people, and I didn't even bring up kids because, but they're starting to prescribe these things for kids now, which is really crazy. Yeah, that part's really crazy. Exactly, Danny. I was just gonna say bone, absolutely, right? If they lose muscle, they're likely to lose bone mineral density 100%.
I'm going to use that next time someone brings it up because they don't realize all they see is the number on the scale and they're getting thin.
100%.
That's
Yeah,
all they see.
I know exactly. And it is really sad. I mean, even just working with any of our clients, oftentimes that's why they come to you, right? But we know
Mhm.
that there's so much more, like helping them get their health back
Mhm.
is like really the most important thing. Um, absolutely. All right, Sierra, there needs to be a cultural shift in nutrition and fitness nationwide. How do you think we can do that? Uh, Chris, loss of skeletal muscle puts them at greater risk of type 2 diabetes further down the line too, right? So it's just like a cycle, isn't it? It's just this like big cycle. It really is. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the only way that somebody can even do okay with these GLP-1 meds is if they are working on their lifestyle as well, right? And they have to be doing all these things and even more and even be more diligent than somebody who's not on them. Super important, right? I just heard, you guys know who Gabrielle Lyons is, Dr. Gabrielle Lyons? Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, I was just listening, she's got lots of great stuff, but I was just listening to her and she was talking about how it's actually people who aren't doing anything, they're not doing anything, but they're taking GLP-1s. They're like, they're like adding on 20 years to their life, right? I mean, it's just scary. So if people are going to do it, like they just think, oh, I'm going to lose weight, right? So a lot more to it. Okay, Jonathan, it seems like those drugs work great for some folks, but not for others. You know, that's a great question. I mean, I don't, like I said, I'm not an expert. I've looked at plenty of research, but I haven't looked at it all. So I don't really know for sure. But if a tolerance effect, I mean, I guess my guess would be that I feel like people don't really get used to it. If that's what you're saying, like, I feel like when people have, are you talking about the short-term, like, symptoms, like the upset stomach and all of that? Because I feel like that doesn't go away. Maybe they get used to it. Maybe it's not quite as bad. Again, not an expert on it, but I haven't heard that, Sonia. They're saying it's a lifetime drug. Again, that's what I heard. I don't know if you guys know different than that, but that's what I heard. I've heard it from many, many doctors that I've heard, listened to, read. True. Yep. That's exactly why. Yep. Because you get off it, you gain the weight back. Ah, that's interesting, isn't it, though? Because it's the same drug. I mean, I don't know what, that's so interesting. Christina, why?
Uh, just kind of shooting in the dark a little bit because I'm not an expert on it, but
I know. Who is, right?
I,
I mean, like,
right.
it's a new thing.
Well, because there's a lot of layers to it, but one of the
Yeah.
things is that with type 2 diabetes, so while you can largely reverse a lot of the markers of it, there are still long-term physiological changes that happen
Mhm.
in your cellular metabolism. And so, just with that alone, a lot of people kind of see it as something that isn't actually cured, it's managed to. And so they're kind of using the GLP-1 medications to manage the condition, but also recognizing that if they stop the medications, if they were far enough along, like let's say if you had someone that was far enough along to where they were having to take supplemental insulin because their pancreas stopped, creating it, because that does happen in late stage
Yeah.
type 2 diabetes.
Right.
Then in that case, it's probably more of like a lifelong type thing versus someone that, like let's say if you have someone that's in their 20s, they're relatively healthy except for, being at greater risk for cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes from being obese. They might just need it as a course correction for a couple of months or something. But if there's no long-term, I'm kind of cringing as I say this, long-term metabolic damage, because there's so many things that go along with that statement. But just in general, though, I think if they're just using it to kind of course correct, then it's kind of implied that that's all it's being used for, and that wouldn't be like a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
That totally makes sense. Do you think though that like what they are like like if they're course correcting, do you think that those things would stay permanent, or they would have, I would imagine their lifestyle would have to change to maintain that.
right. Yeah, for sure. Because that's where it gets great, because I guess if you're looking at it from strictly the point of view, like let's say if you were a hypothetical doctor that just wants to prescribe, right?
Right.
Then I could see someone making an argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think that's its intended use though for weight loss in most cases from what I've heard though. Like I
Say
don't
that
think
one more time. It's, oh, for people that have diabetes, it's
for people that have diabetes it would be more of a long-term thing, but for people that are just using it for weight loss as a quick course correction, it probably isn't.
it probably isn't.
Uh, Long-term.
For most people that are using it for weight loss?
Right. They would probably just need a quick course correction. I
You,
don't think they're recommending,
oh,
from what I've heard, that it be used as a lifetime thing.
I have heard that it would be lifetime for weight loss. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard differently, but I mean, I've definitely heard that in many different places because of the fact that they gain it back. Like it's like soup. I mean, I don't know if it's 100%, but
Oh,
of the people
sorry, you
that gain
kind
it
of
back,
broke up.
if they stop,
Oh, I
yeah,
might have broke up.
if they don't change their lifestyle.
Oh, right. Yeah. If they don't change their lifestyle, for sure.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's the way it started here, Sierra, right? I mean, it started here, it was only supposed to be for type 2 diabetes, right? But yeah, United States. Yeah.
I guess I'm just still kind of surprised about it because I'm so used to saying there's no drug for weight loss, right? And now there is.
I know.
And then there's also reports of some people, like I have a father-in-law who's lost like 90 pounds on it and loves
Mhm.
it, looks thinner than I've ever seen him before. He doesn't look gaunt because he exercises. He
Mm.
loves it. So I think he's a good example of this. I
Mhm.
was talking to a trainer friend at the gym the other day about what he thinks about it with his clients, and he says, well, it seems to me that if they work out, they don't seem to show some of the negative side effects of looking gaunt or the rapid weight loss as you were mentioning. So,
Right.
I'm still really just very surprised that there's actually positive benefits to this.
Yeah. No,
I
me
mean,
too, Jonathan. We talked about this, like, I think when your father-in-law first started on it. I remember, I mean, I don't know if you remember talking to me about it, but I remember talking to you about it. And I remember you just thinking like, well, I guess we might as well just throw the hat in. We don't have any work to do anymore, But
right? Yeah.
but but we really do. I mean, I think that that's really an excellent point. I mean, you're seeing someone who's like thriving and doing well because he's doing his part, right? He's He's working out. He's probably eating better than he used to.
Yes, yes, and he's exercising more
Yeah.
because he's able to. He's not
Right.
obese. I mean, this
Right.
like a summer ago, he was actually on one ski, and he hadn't
Oh,
done
wow.
that for many years.
Wow.
I also think that there's maybe a little bit of an advantage for us with some clients. I've had some clients that just can't seem to handle a calorie deficit very well,
Mhm.
and they quit because it's too hard.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether or not this would be an appropriate thing to recommend to somebody, being out of our scope of practice, I think, obviously, but it
Right.
might be a solution that would help kind of get them started on the way where they're actually seeing results with weight loss.
Right. Yeah. I guess, I mean, I think the hard part is just kind of the slippery slope of like who it's actually supposed to be for. They're supposed to have like, BMI of 30 or BMI of 27 with like some other conditions. But I definitely know people below that are getting prescribed that, they're asking for it. Probably not getting, they're not getting their insurance paying for it. But with people like that, what I would love is if they were using it to kind of get started, that their goal would be to get off of it, and that like we could work on changing their habits and changing their lifestyle so that they could get off of it. Like that would be my hope for people.
Oh yeah, I agree. I was talking to some of the gals at the CrossFit gym that, I mean, they look amazing, but they don't think they look amazing. And I was talking to them about Ozempic and they're like, "Oh, I'd kill to get some." And I
Really?
just thought that's yeah. So there can definitely be a danger with this too.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. I have heard a lot. I don't know if you guys have heard this too, and I didn't put it in the presentation, but just the dosage, because the dosage is so specific, it's like, and it increases, right? So they start at a certain dose and then it increases. Um, And from what I understand, when they do get to maintenance, like they can decrease it a bit, but a lot of times, like we were saying, they don't go off of it, they stay on it. But there are a lot of doctors out there that are talking about microdosing. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about that. So they're microdosing with these, and so they're giving them small amounts, and they're getting a lot of the benefits, but they're not getting all of the worse side effects of it. And so there's a lot to it. I mean, that's why there's just like so much to all of this. Like we could all do research for a long time and it's still coming in. But the microdosing is something that's actually very interesting. So yeah.
That's also done by a doctor.
Right.
Here in our town, they're literally giving it out like candy.
But
You can,
exactly. But it's
yeah,
a
you
certain
can get it
amount,
from
right?
you can get it from like the estheticians.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Yeah.
actually I say, oh my goodness, but I do know that my esthetician does it, but she's a nurse. She's a
Mhm.
nurse. So, but but what she was telling me, she has to, oh, here's another thing too, though, guys. If you want clients, go talk to these people like who Sonia is talking about, because they've got a lot of clients who are taking these meds who don't have any lifestyle coaching, right? They don't
Mhm.
have that. And so they're actually a really good person to talk to as far as like them sharing their clients with you, because you can help them with the lifestyle part of it. But Sonia, you're 100% correct, because what they're prescribing is just the basic amount. And so it's going to be, they're not like looking at, Sonia and saying, I think you should start with this amount, right? It's just like everybody gets this amount, everybody gets that. And then you just go up and it's not individualized at all.
Mhm.
And nobody's really, you're not like their patient. So they're not like paying attention to you. They're not, like asking you about your side effects and how things are going and all of that. Like you're not getting
Right.
that patient care that you
Mhm.
would with a doctor. So just like old school steroids used to be. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy stuff, isn't it? But it's definitely out there. It's definitely not going away anytime soon, right? And so I guess that's just kind of why I thought let's just start talking about this. And I'm sure we all have our feelings about it, but it's not necessarily making it change. So we do our part, we continue to share our message with people, and we want people to be healthy. Anybody else have anything they want to share, talk about? Work on changing mindsets. Yep. Exactly. Okay, Chris, I like that. I think it's important that we keep an open mind too. We don't want to discourage someone who's using GLP-1 not to start exercising because of feeling judged. 100%, Chris, because that's really, honestly, I'll be honest, like that's where I started, right? I had that feeling of judging, oh, well, you shouldn't be on that, like you don't need to be doing that. But I don't want that to get across to them. And Danny, that is great. That makes such a big difference for somebody who's obese, right? That you listen to the stories about people that are obese and they lose the weight, and many of them, not all, many of them, they start feeling better. That's when they start exercising, right? That's when they start eating better. And that's when they're open to it. And they're also not getting all this, like, they're not getting that their mind isn't talking to them. They're not getting all that crazy stuff going on in their head about food. And so they're actually a lot of times, sometimes more open. Yep. And just not being obese any longer lowers their risk for a lot of diseases. Oh, absolutely. Walking, oh, so good. So underrated. Yeah. All right. Anything else, everybody? I wouldn't say all the side effects are avoidable, because are you talking about like the gastrointestinal stuff, like the upset and stuff? That's not really avoidable. That just happens. Talking about things like the side effects of like losing muscle, right? You can I can't think of what the word I want to use there, but you can impede that from happening, right? You can like you can't stop it. When you lose weight, you're going to lose some muscle. You're going to lose some lean mass, but you can slow the amount of lean mass that you're losing by strength training, by eating adequate amounts of protein, right? You can make a big difference with that, but the side effects such as like, having an upset stomach or any of those things, like that is still going to happen just from the drug itself. Yeah. Again, not an expert. That's just my understanding. But anybody else? Thank you guys. Thank you students who came too. Very fun. This was our first webinar, so we didn't really know what to expect as far as how many people were going to be here. So we had a mix of students and prior students and instructors. So stay tuned for more webinars. We're going to be having 2 a month, and there's going to be lots of awesome topics. So, and lots of people, everybody who's in here, all the instructors that are in here are going to be giving their own webinars here pretty soon. So I drew the short straw to go first. But it's all good, right? So thank you so much. I loved all of your thoughts on this topic. I know it's kind of controversial, it's just something we wouldn't have chosen to bring it into our work, but here it is. And so, I love that you guys are all thinking it through, and that we're having some open minds. It's good. All right. Okay, last chance. Thanks, Jonathan. It was so fun to see all you guys. Miss you. Okay, are we good? Right, we can go. Okay, thank you all. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.